All right, welcome back, y'all. It's me, Mama King. I am the Divine Oracle. I've noticed that I have not read from the Great Cosmic Mother lately. Okay, rediscovering the religion of the earth. I think this is a perfect time. I'm going to do two short chapters here: the megalithic tomb, the moon, and the stone, as well as the earth mound as cosmic womb of the pregnant goddess. Okay, so sit back and enjoy. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. And yeah, let's just vibe. So, most high Neolithic cultures in the Near East developed gradually from the village settlements into city centers around 5000 to 4000 BC. Perhaps this was the golden age in this part of the world, a time of peaceful and creative life in the Jordan Valley, kept alive in later myths and legends. And perhaps the same peaceful, settled existence was ongoing at the same time in the other parts of the East, in India, in Africa, and Western Europe. From diggings, we know that the dead were no longer buried deep under the house floors, nor entombed in oven shaped chambers cut in the rock of caves. Now they were given more monumental habitations in the form of rock chambers or stone structures built on the ground, covered with artificial earth mounds. These are the megalithic tombs or dolmens. The dolmen itself, a chamber formed of great upright stones, roofed with a top stone, was seen as having great healing powers. Stones shaped by water, wind, the earth were believed to be the habitation of the goddess. In some stone chambers, the portal stone was carved out to resemble the birth canal. The dead, still buried in fetal position, were placed in the womb of the Great Mother, awaiting a rebirth. Still later, women, being the farmers, gardeners, and keepers of the grain, buried their dead in great egg-shaped pithoi, P-I-T-H-O-I, okay, or clay storage urns under the ground. Always a connection was made between the miraculous growth of the plant from a seed buried in the earth and the dead body planted also in the earth, with the hope of regeneration through her womb powers. The women drew on their daily practical experiences as agriculturalists to create elaborate new myths of cyclic birth, death, and a resurrection. Mm. With the spread of settled agriculture, this new culture and its religious symbols blossomed everywhere: the Middle East, India, through Europe into Scandinavia, Britain, and Spain, the Mediterranean islands, North and West Africa. The ancient primordial symbols remain, but in a much more elaborate and permanent form. The great cosmic mountain mother, who was the mother of wild animals, who was the dark ocean and the night and day sky, begets the silver egg, or fruit of her night sky, the moon. She is both moon and earth, and the ancient bird and snake goddess of water and air begets a daughter, the pregnant earth, goddess of vegetation. The green child. Both mother and daughter are linked with the moon. The massive great mother of the old Stone Age begins to share her powers with a new goddess, the strong young daughter of agricultural skills, ruled by the moon. The moon, as daughter of the great mother, is known as the triple goddess. She presides over all acts of generation, whether physical, intellectual, or spiritual. Her triple aspect express the three phases of the moon: waxing, which is growth; full, which is rebirth; and waning, which is periodic death. She is, as the new or waxing moon, the white goddess of birth and growth. She is the full moon, the red goddess of love and battle. She is, as the old or waning moon, the black goddess of death and divination. These are the three phases of a woman's life, all natural and all magical. Biological phases are also spiritual phases, transits, and immortality. Transistence. Transience, okay? Let me get it right. Transience and immortality are different aspects of the same goddess. The moon, as the daughter fruit of the great mother sky, expresses the essential unity and perpetual change of her cosmos. Moon and sun are the eyes of the heavenly mother, the all seeing one. We still talk of heavenly bodies and of stars looking down on us, and we still experience the universe as a larger symbolic body, as macrocosm or microcosm, or as mythic mother to daughter. The three cyclic phases of the ever turning moon should remind us that our minds are not primordially dualistic, but structured to flow through changes, always conscious of the one, while experiencing the whole range of diverse psychic manifestations. Mens, MENS, the word for mind, is also the word for moon. On ancient images of the goddess, we find the spiral symbol, one end rolling upward and the other downward, by the genital triangle. When represented by this double spiral, she is never solely the goddess of fertility, pregnancy, and birth. She is also at the same time goddess of death and the dead, bearing on her belly the continuous rising and descending spiral. She expresses the constant double motion of the cosmos. In megalithic art, the goddess as giver of life is depicted naturalistically and sensually. But as ruler over the spirits and the dead, her form stresses the unnatural, the surreal, and the psychic spiritual. She is then figured in weird, fantastic, hermortal, I know this word, hermaphroditic or phallic shapes. She is hallucinated into composite monster animals like the Sphinx or the later griffin and Abraxas, or in a stylized form called the eye goddess. She becomes simply a double spiral representing her cosmic magic eyes. This eye goddess design is found on pottery, on statues, on clay, and bone implements all over the Near East and Europe. On the New Grange burial mounds in County Meath, Ireland, the double spiral marks the main stones. The goddess receives there the first rays of the sun's rebirth on winter solstice, and the same design appears on stones on Malta, Crete, and in Scandinavia, and inside burial chambers through France and Brittany. The eye spirals are often mistakenly called cup and ring marks and assumed by male archaeologists to be sun wheels. Carved in grim relief inside burial mounds in Brittany, the eye goddess stares forward, seeing death and life equally. The funerary mood is expressed in the stylized abstraction of her gaze, reducing complex existence to the stark essentials of seeing and the invisible. Nature is both growth and decay, and life cannot be without death, such is the unblinking vision of the eye goddess. Stone in Neolithic times, as in the Paleolithic, remains the powerful abode of the great goddess. Stone, of all earth forms, is immortal and unchanging, symbol of permanence. As the bones of the earth, the pelvic walls of caverns, it gives off a profound vibration or resonance, both subhuman and supernatural. All primitive people carry wishbones and healing stones, talismans painted with magic symbols. Animals as well as humans seem drawn to tall standing menhirs or stone pillars. Sick livestock rub against them in the countryside, and it is timeless folk custom to touch menhirs, Menhirs, I hope I'm saying it right, in order to become fertile or to be cured of illness. Legends often refer to stone circles, like in Brittany and Cornwall, in Ireland and England, as nine maidens or merry maidens. Nine is the magic number of the moon, and the Thracian muses To explain these circles, it is said that 9 naughty young women were turned into stone by the avenging Christian god for dancing on his Sabbath. It has been suggested that a specific number of women or girls dancing in a circle at certain speeds and all singing or humming the appropriate notes, young women having the high piping voices, might set up a vibratory resonance in the stone circle, subjecting each stone to a burst of sound energy as each woman passed it. And this energy traveling from stone to stone, the ultrasound in the voices or music would act on the crystal structure of the stone. It has recently been found that the quartz content of such stones is an electrically active crystal, and that certain standing stones associated with the stone circles generate ultrasound when stimulated by the elements in the electromagnetic spectrum radiated by the sun at dawn. In England, geologists and ley line hunters, why hunter, why not seeker, are working together in the Dragon Project, physically monitoring and measuring radiation and energies emanating from standing stones and stone circles at different times of day and night. Sounds familiar. Lunar and solar risings and settings, and at different seasons. In Neolithic times, the moon and the stone symbols were combined in one characteristic shape, the horned altar. Anything shaped like a crescent moon was considered by analogy to belong to the triple goddess. Thus, where horses' hooves struck crescent marks on the earth, the moon ran, and the wild mare belonged to her. The curving lunar horns of cows and bulls, goats, oxen, and the other herd animals were held sacred and adorned, and the horned crown became the magic adornment of warriors, rulers, and priests of the late Neolithic. Horned Teutonic warrior women and the horned Pan, pagan god of nature. Pan means all belong to this tradition, and this is why the Christian devil is depicted wearing horns. From Upper Paleolithic times, we have the Venus of Laussel, it's Laussel, and other cave images of women wearing or holding horns, and figurines of horns with women's breast. There were also images of the pregnant doe and her magic antlers. Northern hunting people still see the mother of the universe as a doe, elk, or wild reindeer. There are myths of pregnant women who rule the heart of the world, covered with hair and with branching deer's horns on their heads. The deer were still sacred to Artemis and Diana, goddesses of the moon in later times. The doe's udders were seen to be sources of rainwater, and the growth of her antlers was magically connected with the growth of the crescent moon, both symbolizing growth and regeneration. The symbol of the Sumerian goddess of childbirth was a stag. Apparently, there was a synchronicity between the growth cycle of the stag's antlers and that of spring-grown Neolithic cereal grains. In later Celtic and Teutonic myth, the fairy transformed herself most commonly into a magic deer, and she lived within an earth mound, the pregnant womb of the goddess. A whole complex of symbols is associated with this Neolithic religion of the great goddess. The sacred pillar, the horns, the cosmic snake, an egg, the labyrinth, the world tree, the dove, the swastika, the sacrificial double axe or labrys, the bee, the butterfly, and chrysalis. The horned altar, the cow's horns shaped in stone or clay, the likeness of the young crescent moon, stood for new growth and fertility. It also meant the simultaneously waning crescent, the dying moon. These altars were found in megalithic tombs, but agricultural rites of the horned altar were also performed for the living group, such as earlier Paleolithic people had performed magic cave rituals to encourage the birth and capture of the hunter's animal quarry. In the settled Neolithic, where people depended on cultivated crops, the seasons, and the weather, horned altar ceremonies were enacted to help the rebirth of the new moon, to assist crop growth and harvest, to renew the fertility of the fields each year, so bringing about the resurrection of the daughter vegetable life through the mother earth and moon. When plowing developed, it was a part of funerary rites. The sacred pillar, along with the horned altars, were sacred stone objects standing in the open country, along roads, and in the village. Also descended from the old Stone Age, they were phallic pillars with the Great Mother carved on them. Stone pillars were with breast are found throughout the Near East, as Gimbutas suggested, or Gimbutas, Gimbutas. These ancient phallic mother stones symbolize shamanic bisexuality and the unity of the sexes, a Neolithic ideal stressed in ritual and imagery. The cosmic snake and egg derive from the original goddess cosmology and continue to represent wisdom, immortality, continuity within change, and the magic germ or still heart center within the whirling negative positive spiral field of cosmic energy. The labyrinth also continues the earlier Paleolithic rituals of the underground cave, the initiation maze dance through life and death. Serpent and maze designs are common symbols on Neolithic pottery worldwide, and in urban times they were incorporated in floor mosaics. In Neolithic Western Europe and in Neolithic North America, giant burial grounds were built in the shape of serpents, with spirals engraved on their stones. The world tree is another worldwide symbol, found everywhere among Neolithic agricultural people. The world tree also existed among earlier Old Stone Age hunting and gathering cultures. Shamans in trance climb the world tree, which is the human spine and the spine of the world, to receive illumination. The Neolithic world tree appears in a garden, abundant with fruits and grains. It reflects the agricultural concerns of settled people when the energy bonds between human society and the cycles of vegetable life were stressed and also coming under human control. The world tree incorporates serpentine and lunar symbolism, shedding bark and leaves like skin or light, being reborn in the spring, growing rhythmically with the monthly moon phases. At least 2,000 years before the Hebrew patriarchs wrote of the Garden of Eden, the Neolithic great goddess had her magic garden of immortality. Clay seals and figurines from Sumer and Crete show her sitting in her garden, the branches of the world tree overspreading bundles of fruits and grains, a crescent moon over her shoulder, and somewhere twined around the tree trunk or stretched on the ground at her feet, the cosmic serpent. And some fertilizing rivers, meander lines, pour in from the four directions. Such images of peaceful abundance are the apotheosis of the Neolithic. Yeah, make sure I said that right. I hope I did. The dove is often pictured there too, perched in the world tree as a symbol of the Great Mother's all-giving love, as the vulture meant all-taking death. Okay, so the dove meant the Great Mother's all-giving love, and the vulture means all-taking death. Doves continued through Roman times to be the companions of the love goddess, Venus, as well as biblical symbols of peace. Okay, I'm sure we all know that. In the image of the cosmic tree penetrating the three sacred zones of heaven, earth, and underworld, the threefold structure of the universe is expressed. Also, the threefold structure of the human brain, the original reptilian brain stem, surrounded by the mammalian cerebrum and all enveloped by the human neocortex. The reptile brain is the secret dream underground. The mammal brain is abundant earth. The human neocortex is the flying bird who sits in the world tree and can climb the sky. Wherever bird and snake appear together, as in the Thracian bird and snake goddess, They are to be seen as the upper and lower symbols of the world tree. And it is understood that the world tree, which is the spine, the arousal of Kundalini through the chakras, connects them. In the presence of this Neolithic world tree symbol, one is in the presence of the most ancient shamanistic trance power and of a yoga. Both are magic techniques of the Great Mother. In the Hebrew Genesis, Eve and Adam are driven from the Garden of Immortality by Yahweh because they consort with the cosmic serpent under this magic world tree. The Genesis tree was not an apple, but a fig tree. Eve and Adam cover their nakedness with fig leaves after eating of its fruit in Eden. Hathor, the cow goddess of Egypt, was anciently identified with the fig tree, which was known as the living body of Hathor on earth. To eat of its sweet, pulpy fruit, its very vulva-like fruit, was to eat of her flesh and fluid. The fig tree was also sacred on Crete, considered the food of eternity and immortality. The biblical Garden of Eden was, in fact, the entire Near Eastern, North African, and Mediterranean Neolithic agricultural world of the great goddess. And the forbidden tree and evil serpent represented her ancient magic powers of illumination and immortality and earthly peace. The swastika is one of the most ancient abstract symbols. It is found scratched on Siberian clay figures of wild geese on the underside of their wings from the earliest Neolithic excavations. The cross originally represented the earth, the Great Mother's body, her outstretched arms, the four directions. The swastika means the earth in flight. It is the cross with feet or wings set in motion. The earth and its moon are willed through their changes. Later seen as a sun wheel, the swastika was first a moon wheel, and like the double crescent, the labrys, it could signify both directions of the cosmic spin, into creation or dissolution. The right spinning wheel clockwise was used to build, encourage, maintain. The left spinning wheel counterclockwise was used to destroy, prevent, or transform the nature of something. Just so, the witch cycle turns clockwise to do, Wintershins to undo. The swastika can be found worldwide, from old relics dug up in Iran to the pottery decorations of present-day Zuni Indians in the American Southwest. Typically, as on a 7th century BC terracotta amphora from Boeotia, Boeotia, never heard of it, Boeotia, whatever, and other statues and pots from the Aegean, the swastika was associated with the Lady of the Beasts, the new Stone Age version of the Paleolithic mother of wild animals. It is one of the magic signs on the foot of the Buddha. Taken over by patriarchy, the swastika has meant only destruction. Hitler read it as an Aryan fire sign. All right, I took a little break. Okay, so let's keep going, y'all. The double axe or labrys was the instrument used by women in ceremony, agricultural work, and battle. It is an axe with two heads, the two moon crescents, waxing and waning. A practical version was used by women in daily agricultural work. In the form of the battle axe, it was used by Amazonian warriors of North Africa, Thrace, and Macedonia. In Macedonia and the Caucasus as a sacred sacrificial axe. It could be used only by priestesses who alone could cut down the goddess's ceremonial trees. Our word labyrinth comes from the Minoan labrys, Labrys. It refers to the hall of double axes or labyrinth, dug up by archaeologists at the palace of Knossos, Knossos. Okay, on Crete. Crete was the great matriarchal cultural center of the Mediterranean. Its murals and mosaics, pottery designs, seals, and amulets show the labyrinths wielded only by women, and it appears extensively as an icon symbol of the great goddess. The bee, Bee, was always a sign of the goddess. Honey was the only sweetener of the ancient world, and its maker, the honeybee, is both industrious and magical. Only the female bees build hives and make honey, and they communicate with each other via dance language. Bees appear in the spring at the rebirth of grasses and flowers. The goddess was also pictured as chrysalis and butterfly, who emerges from its self-spun tomb, totally transformed, as the bird once emerged from the reptile, and as the new soul emerges from ritual death on wings of illumination. The butterfly is, like the cowrie shell, a vocal symbol. According to Marija Gimbutas, I hope I'm pronouncing this name right, Gimbutas, the butterfly winged goddess was slowly merged with a double axe image during the Bronze Age. The megalithic tomb was the body of the Great Mother. It was her temple, where religious rites were performed at night by the light of her moon. The stone menhirs were designated as females, colossal upright blocks, some 10 feet tall and often grouped in threes. They embodied the triple goddess of birth, death, and rebirth, and were associated throughout the Neolithic with vast circles marked out by stones, which were ritual enclosures and sacred dance grounds. These stone circles, or the traces of them, are found worldwide. The rites enacted in the menhir circles represented the spiritual understanding of the Neolithic people, their wish for union with the goddess and for immortality through her. The ceremonies were presided over by women shaman priestesses, whose spheres were vision, sacrifice, poetic, and magic lore, the ritual calendar, and the law, and astronomical astrological observation. The later Druids inherited much of their knowledge, lore, and ritual. These priestesses were also healers, rainmakers, midwives, and the keepers of Soma, the sacred mind expanding drink. Okay, so the sacred mind expanding drink. Beehive tombs. Let me catch myself here. Let me get a little sip, y'all. So excited. Let me slow down a little bit. Beehive tombs with passage entrance ways have been found from Greece to Ireland, dating from the close of 3000 BC. All have huge circular enclosures, amphitheaters for funerary games. Their entrances are ornamented with 8 double spirals. The circle has no end, the point that breathes itself into a universe and back again. On Crete, cult shrines enclosing small stone pillars or clay pillars molded around tree trunks were set up to ceremonialize the dead and the magic tomb. The Egyptian pyramids were an elaborate culmination of the megalithic tomb guarded by the great Sphinx, who is the goddess, guardian of the dead. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Amen. This is a magic for me. Okay, I hope you're getting the same energy. Okay, yeah, yeah. I don't really care. This is my channel. This is my book, and I love this relationship I have with this mic. Okay, so all right, you gotta use what you got. Okay, let's see here. I'm excited. We're on to the next chapter. This is a few pages here. The earth mound as cosmic womb of the pregnant goddess. Things just make so much sense now. Okay. That's what I'm feeling. Well, let's see here. Silbury Hill, situated on the Wiltshire Downs in southwest England, is the largest surviving image of the goddess from Neolithic Europe. It is 520 feet in diameter and 130 feet high, and it is over 4,500 years old. For hundreds of years, male archaeologists have been excavating the mound, desperately hoping to find within it the Bronze Age burial remains of an ancient Essex king. Essex king. Wow, this is torture from my from my country tongue, y'all. Okay. But as Michael Dames points out in Silbury Treasure, the Great Goddess Rediscovered, Neolithic culture was based on kinship, not kingship. In Dames' view, the Silbury Mound expresses a vision of cosmic unity long lost to patriarchy. Silbury Hill was the primordial belly, the omphalos, Omphalos, or navel of the world. The sacred mountain emerged from the waters of chaos. The world egg born from the primordial sea of night. It is the throne who is the squatting goddess, the white mountain, the navel of waters. The Indo-European root for hill, which is kel, Kel, also meant a concealed sacred place. Germanic halyo, I can't pronounce this. Yeah, and was probably related to halig, meaning holy. Okay, got it. So the mountain was always a generator of energy, inspiring the high state of madness and prophecy, giving oracular powers. I guess I should know that word. Okay, oracular, Oracular. What I do. It is the world axis where the different levels of psychic, physical experience interpenetrate the threshold between underworld, earth, and sky, from which all creation emerges. From the mountain, the shaman begins his ecstatic journey. In Britain, there are 1,500 hilltops with large enclosures on their summits, encircled by earthen banks. These earthworks look like coiled serpents and were used as ritual mazes. According to Michael Dames, Silbury Hill contains a vegetable core surrounded by layers of chalk, gravel, soil, and clay. Radiating from this core are spokes of twisted string, looking like umbilical cords or snakes. This central axis is surrounded by sarsen stones, which are covered with earth dug from the surrounding quarry, originally filled with water. The surface of the mother's body was water, and she contained within herself earth, water, air, and fire, sunlight reflected in the moat. The hill and its ditch, a convex hill and concave hole, create together the image of the goddess squatting in the Neolithic birth position, tranquil and stable, ready to give birth to the world. The Neolithic farming communities had a non-linear sense of time, believing that time began anew within each year with each new year. The pregnant mountain mother gave birth in August when the seeds spring planted in her womb had grown large. At that time the entire community came to be with her. The divine birth is the harvest of the wheat, and the first fruits were offered to the goddess. So that's Virgo energy. Similar mysteries were enacted in Eleusis, Eleusis, and around Demeter, the grain mother. In Britain, she was known as Bride Anna or Danu, and she was celebrated on her womb mounds in August as late as the 17th century AD. Great assemblies of witches traditionally gathered on Lammas Eve, which is August 1st. To me, that would be like Leo season, okay, by our current calendar. So the people believing that their welfare in the coming year depended on the performance of these sacred rites of the Corn Mother or Harvest Queen. The Christian church thoughts throughout Britain finally took drastic action against this pagan cult worship. The Christian priesthood preaches a linear, not cyclic time, hoping to separate man from the goddess of nature and God from the great cosmic rhythms of creation. As many wise people have observed, the way to control human life is to control the rhythm of life. Pagan life was ruled by natural cyclic rhythms. The church opposed these female rhythms with linear historic ones, thus trying to change human rhythm from natural to mechanical, which serves the industrial process, but leaves human life and labor, including agricultural life and labor, quite alienated. Reminds me of factory work. I actually thought about that when I was working in a factory to pay off some bills. I had to get a factory job because, of course, the money was good, but you had to work like a machine. Okay, you were likened to the machine. You had to keep pace with the machines. Okay, so as Dames said, both lunar and solar phenomenon, particularly the solstices and equinoxes, were studied by the late Neolithic farming communities who used a solar calendar to determine annual agricultural events, while the months from the word moon and the daily rhythms were linked to the more ancient lunar calendar. In the ancient world, the full moon was birth time for all life. The ceremonial birth at Silbury was celebrated on the night of the full moon closest to the fixed solar quarter day or Sabbat of Lamamas or Lamamas. Yeah, Lammas. Okay. Silbury Hill drew up power, water from the underworld, and drew down power, light from the sky. So I thought I heard about the Pope apparently performing some ritual on Christmas Eve. It's supposed to. I'm going to have to look into that a little deeper, but I briefly heard that. This is reminding me of that same sort of thing. I understand it, you know, in a mundane level because it's something natural for me, but seeing it written down and then read back and correlating it with current events is amazing. Okay. So when these elements were joined within her earth body, the universal birth took place. The birth and death of light could be witnessed from her summit, both occurring at the same moment. As the sun rose and the moon set, and after 12 hours, the reverse. All equinoctial settings of sun and full moon, according to Dames, mark the positions of the goddesses Moat I. So, at Silbury, the interaction between the hill mother and the river mother is one and bisexual. The moon is born from the water and gives birth on the water. This is also reminding me of a reading I did a few days ago where it was, I was actually reciting a spell, an incantation, and it was bringing up sunrise and sunset. So it was a ritual of rebirth. It was a spell protection. I don't offer any sort of, no, words to go against someone. The spell work that I offer or the heal is for healing. Okay, it's for your own healing, for healing your situations, for healing your predicaments, and not to, escape any sort of karma. Let's just let everything flow the way it is. So let me get back to this reading. The goddess at Silbury is also the eye goddess, EYE, the eye goddess, as the moon and sunlight are reflected in the moat, an image of the indivisibility of mind and matter, eye and womb, EYE and womb, as well as their transformation through the tomb. When death was formed by the mother, everything was both dead and alive in process by nature. Earth was seen in its totality, and the people recognized death as one of the sources of first fruit ceremonies. This was the psychic orientation of pagan agriculturalists. Long before, in Dames's words, war was declared on the human body with the emergence of patriarchal warrior societies in the Bronze Age. Silbury Hill is comparable to the temples on Malta. To sleep within such a goddess shape would itself have been a ritual act. Recent excavations in the Orkney Islands of Scotland have revealed whole Neolithic villages, up to 60 houses, designed in the shape of a goddess body. Individual houses made of stone and mud on Skara Brae are shaped like uteruses with vaginal entranceways. Stone temples in Malta are carved and built in the shape of the massive Paleolithic Great Mother, and small clay figurines of the great goddess in this same form are found throughout Malta. The West Kennet Long Barrow in England is built in the same identical shape. The large Metamud temple in Egypt and the Bryn Silly Dude DDU over my head mound in Wales are the same body. The great earth mound belly, open thighs of stone, the entrance portal open for the passage of birth and death. Worldwide agriculture was a mother of arts as women built to live within her body shape. Dogon villages in Africa are constructed in the shape of a bisexual human figure lying on its back. The village represents the first vibration of the cosmic egg. It is built in the center of fields cut in spirals. At the southern end is a cone shaped shrine, the penis. A hollowed stone nearby on which the fruit is pressed for oil is the vagina. Minstrel huts to the east and west sides of the village are hands. Both sexes carry out the agricultural work of these bisexual villages. Primal people understand quite clearly that the shape of one's dwellings is the shape of one's life. I've heard that before in modern terms. Take a look at someone's desk, take a look at their home, you'll understand their mind, right? Interesting. The white goddess of pagan Britain was a mother of the good and fertile soil of the chalklands, white as the full moon. All her creation, including stones and minerals, was organic and animated. Her body permeated all the later Avebury monuments on the Wiltshire Downs. This area is rich in sarsen stones, massive blocks of hard sandstone, which lay on the surface of the hills and didn't need to be quarried. These stones were called bride stones. Bride, Bridget, was one of the goddess's names, Bridget. The white horse, a large turf-cut figure on the hillside at Uffington in Berkshire, is an invocation of Epona, the Celtic horse goddess. Evocation. Dragon Hill nearby was a Neolithic first fruits ceremonial site. Folklore tells that the white sterile patch on its summit was caused by the execution of the life-giving dragon goddess at the hands of a patriarchal solar hero. Where her blood fell, nothing will grow. One such dragon slayer or serpent killing hero, in quotes, is Saint Michael. Many of the earliest Christian churches in Britain dedicated to Saint Michael were built precisely on the ancient mounds and high places of the great goddess. In Christian lore, Saint Michael was the head chief of a band of angels, read patriarchal invaders, is what it says, that went to war with the mother dragon and her people. In folklore, Saint Michael is thought to be the successor of Wotan, Wotan, the Anglo-Saxon god who was a warlike slayer of dragons. Interesting. In fact, an abnormal number of Christian churches dedicated to Saint Michael and Saint George, the other British dragon slayer, are built on high places along the ley line, or the dragon path, that runs from Land's End to Cornwall through the goddess monuments at Glastonbury and Avebury in southwest England. Okay? If you didn't know, now you know. Such as St. Michael's Church was built on the summit of Glastonbury Tor, but in the year 1300 AD it was destroyed by an earthquake. As Elizabeth G. Davis notes, all the Christian male angels were originally the great goddess with her wings. When the image of the winged goddess continued to be engraved on Roman coins in defiance of the new Christian hierarchy in Constantinople, who had smashed or taken over all her Roman temples, the church fathers just changed her name to the Angel of the Lord, Archangel Michael. Glastonbury Tor is a spiral mound with a processional way, along which a dance was performed by the community, circling around and up to the top. Glastonbury means glass castle. Glass castles in Welsh, Irish, and Manx legend were island shrines or star prisons ruled by the white moon goddess of poetry and ritual death. In medieval legend, they were made of glass. In Neolithic times, they were goddess mounds of birth and death. Original rites at Glastonbury were aimed at restoring the bird and flower of the flower of hold on. Original rites at Glastonbury were aimed at restoring the bird and flower life of spring, perhaps. The mound was a magnetic center for the absorption and refraction of generative energies, ley lines, okay, to which animal, bird, and plant life responded. And women, as the ancient farmers and beekeepers, performed the rites, okay, as priestesses. Glastonbury was probably the enchanted Isle of Avalon, okay. Lands flowing with milk and honey, eulogized in the Bible as original Edens, were in fact the lands of the Neolithic goddess. Milk belongs to the mother, and since women were the first beekeepers, the honeybee has always symbolized matriarchy. North African and Thracian Amazons legendarily fed on honey and mare's milk, along with blood, raw meat, and a reed marrow. The Indo-Europeans inherited beekeeping from the Minoans of Crete, who practiced it from the beginning of the Neolithic. Cretans believed that at the death of the sacrificial bull, the goddess was reborn as a bee. Thus, the bull-born goddess of transformation and regeneration, both bee and bull, belonged to the moon. The bull, because of its crescent horns, while the bees make the sweet light of honey within the night darkness of the hive. At Ephesus, where the many-breasted Artemis Diana was worshipped, okay, the bee appeared as her cult animal. Her temple at Ephesus was a symbolic beehive built by priestesses and known as one of the wonders of the ancient world. Her priestesses were called Melissio, and in quotes they have the word bees, Bees, okay, and the eunuch priests were ensigns, which were drones, okay, in quotes. Bees and drones. So, priests and priestesses. Whoo, child. And my soul just opened up. Thus, the beehive shape of so many Neolithic earth mounds were quite intentional and symbolic. Beekeeping was a metaphor for settled agriculture and for the peaceful abundance of the earth in those times. And the honeybee was like the full moon, making illumination in the nights. This would give you some understanding of the war that's been, the spiritual war that's been going on with the humans, okay? In Ireland, in Brittany, in Wales, and in Scandinavia, the fairies and their fairy queen are still believed to be living in earth mounds or tomb dwellings. The Swedish sagas about trolls. Oh, child. The Swedish sagas about trolls are obviously distorted tales about ancient moon worshipping people. The trolls are said to live inside mountains, to be dressed in skins, to eat human flesh, to exist in both human and animal form, and to die if caught in the rays of the sun. They live by night, by moonshine. So in Ireland, the fairy people said to live inside the burial mounds are Tuatha de Danann, okay, a people of the goddess Danu, displaced and driven underground by later patriarchal invaders. The Danans, or the Danans, were matrilinear, and their goddess was a mother of all magic, art, and craft. Halloween was originally Samhain, one of the four great cross-quarter days or sabbats of the witch year in pagan Britain. Originally on this night of All Souls, priestess oracles sat at the stone portals of earth mounds or mass burial chambers, while the spirits of the heroic dead passed in and out, visiting the world just once before the great death of winter. In North America, Neolithic farming cultures also built earth mounds. The earliest, dating from 1000 BC, were found throughout the southeast by early explorers. from Florida and Georgia into West Virginia, Kentucky, and the Tennessee Valley, and west into Arkansas and Oklahoma. Mm. Ohio was the site of two great mound building Native American cultures. The Adena, Adena, dating circa 800 BC to AD 900, built conical mounds. The Hopewell, 600 BC to AD 1500, elaborated on the earlier structures, building huge mounds and earthen embanks covering hundreds of acres. Both of these cultures built burial mounds. Later, people in the southeast built temple mounds, large earthworks with temples on the top, but no burial chambers within. Ohio is the site of the Great Serpent Mound of the Adena culture. The serpent mound is 1,400 feet long, made of earth in the shape of a snake winding around the cosmic egg, which is the maternal ovum. Many American Indian cultures were not mound builders, but most believe their ancestors emerged from such mounds or from such structures symbolizing the earth's pregnant belly. The Hopi and other Southwest tribes still go into kivas, underground chambers, Kivas, am I pronouncing that correctly, for initiation into the presence of the earth spirit. And the great pyramids of Mexico and Central America were built up generation after generation over original earth mound structures. Mexico means navel of the moon. Never heard that before, but that's good to know. I do appreciate you taking the time to listen to this reading of The Great Cosmic Mother. I was reminded that I hadn't done it in a while. I was going to do it a few weeks ago, but no time like the present. All right. So, what two beautiful chapters here, if you followed along, or you can later. Of course, the chapters aren't numbered, but I did read, I started with page 96 to page 109, okay? And then maybe I'll pick something else here soon in a few days. Let me know how y'all think, what you think about it. Do you really enjoy The Great Cosmic Mother? It was actually, I think the most, or it got the most likes or something for my videos for this year. The reading of The Great Cosmic Mother. I think it was the first one I did. But you guys apparently enjoyed it, okay? And I did too. So we'll keep diving into these chapters as long as you guys still want to listen. But you know how I am. Even if you don't, I'm still going to do it. Okay? The work don't stop. But I do appreciate y'all. Please consider liking, subscribing. Don't forget to comment. Hit the notification bell. All the YouTube things. Stay blessed and grounded. And I'm going to see you later. Bye-bye.